another day of good health, mentally and physically. My mission is to help the athlete transition to the former athlete with less stress. A lot of times when you are competing, you're getting a lot of validation. People telling you, how good you are. And a lot of times when it ends, you're no longer hearing that and you're not feeling that. And so what tends to happen is a lot of people start believing that or feeling like they're being rejected. And most of the time that's not the case, but that's what the person is actually feeling. And the reason why I know that is because I actually experienced that too. Plus, talking to people that were athletes, they pretty much communicated that. They may not have used the words rejection or validation, but that's what they were saying in a sense. When you think about it, if a child does not get validated, they usually have behavior problems. And so for some reason, we assume that because we're adults now, we don't need it anymore. But it's not true. We need validation, regardless of how old you are. And so for the former athlete, their role as an athlete gave them all the validation they needed at one point in time. And now it's no longer there because now they're looking at somebody else filling the gaps or taking the role that they used to play. And it's like a feeling of rejection. And so we have to understand it in order to process it or to deal with it. And I think once we do that, it makes things a lot easier because you realize nothing lasts forever, regardless of how good you are. I was watching 30 for 30, and I heard Penny Hardaway say, I should have retired 8 years ago, but I love the game so much I couldn't. And I think it wasn't just his love for the game, but it was everything that the game meant to him. So how do you walk away from that? That's a hard thing to do because he was getting validated initially because he was one of the best. And he was picked to be one of the best ever if it hadn't been for those injuries. And I can just hear it in his voice speaking today that, man, I thought this was going to happen, but it didn't. And if it would have, I would have been here. But this is Penny Hardaway, one of the greatest. And so what about the people that nobody knows that experience the same thing or something very similar? At least he has a platform to process and to go through, and resources as well. And so the majority of people that I'm trying to reach do not have the resources or the platform. And so my goal is to continue to get the message out there, get people to understand what they're going through, and to no longer panic, live life to the fullest through health, mentally and physically. And I'll be back next week.